Hi, I'm Benjamin Stewart. I'm here to tell you the story of Hehakatanka, the story of Big Elk, with special guests Tatanka and Wambly. Wambly. So, this story takes place back a long time ago when the people could still talk to the animals. And every year, all the animals would have their big summer celebration in a large grassy field. And they would come together and play. And, the owls would have a flying contest. And the mice would see who could gather the most things. And, the buffaloes would have a race, and every year everyone looked forward to coming to this giant celebration in this field in the middle of the woods. And so one year everybody's setting up there, and there's a talent show, and there's lots of things going on, and all of a sudden the animals hear doom, 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 and the animals look at each other and they say, "What is that? What is that?" They look at the puddles on the ground, the puddles of water, and they're shaking. And they're like, "Oh no, what's going to happen?" And all of a sudden they look over the trees and they see giant antlers. Doom, doom, doom. And they're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." And so anyway, they're like, "What's happening?" And into the clearing steps the biggest elk that anyone has ever seen. Doom. And all the animals are afraid, and they start to walk up to him and they say, "What is your name?" And he looks down, looks at all of them, says, "My name is Hehakatanka, Big Elk." And without saying anything else, boom, he family of bunnies goes flying, and boom, the owl goes flying, and boom, the hedgehog goes flying, and then boom, all the animals, he knocks them all out into the forest away from the field. And all the animals are scared, and they're crying, and they're saying, "What do we do? What do we do?" And pretty soon they're like, "I don't know, I don't know. He just said his name was Big Elk, and he just started hitting us." So the animals said, "Well, what about our yearly celebration? What's going to happen to us?" And so quickly the wise owl says, "Look, is there any warriors among us?" Pretty soon 2 wolves step forward very slyly, and they said, "We will kill him and eat him." And so they said, "Okay, okay, you go get him and kill him and eat him." So the wolves go out into the field where Big Elk is standing, quietly munching grass, and they look at him. Big Elk looks around. "Who are you? We're going to kill you and eat you. We're going to kill you and eat you," said the wolves. All of a sudden, Big Elk just laughs. "Ha ha ha! Boom! Boom! And the wolves go flying. And all the people see it, and they're like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Did you see that? The wolves! He knocked the wolves out." So anyway, they said, Owl says, Is there any other warriors among us?" And pretty soon the buffalo comes up, and he's like, "I will headbutt him. He won't be able to do anything." And all the animals thought, "Oh, good. Nobody's ever been able to stand up to Tatanka. And so, good. Then we can have our yearly celebration." And so Tatanka quickly walks up and starts to charge. Starts to charge the elk, and Hehakatanka just looks at him, and all of a sudden, Tatanka just wah, and just flies out of the circle, and all the animals are like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my God, what are we going to do? And so, anyway, pretty soon, the owl asks again, is there no warriors left among us? Oh my God. And so the great cat steps forward, the cougar, and she says, I will creep through the trees, and I'll drop down on his back and kill him. Okay, 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 okay. Drop down, kill him. Creep through the trees. So the cat is creeping and jumping from tree to tree. And all of a sudden she's directly above Hehakatanka, and he's quietly munching grass. She springs. Hehaka just lifts his head back. And then and she goes flying. Now all the animals are really upset. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? The animals are really upset. And pretty soon steps forward a small hummingbird. And the hummingbird says, excuse me. And everybody's like, what are we going to do now? And the hummingbird says, excuse me. What? Did somebody say something? Excuse me, down here. I will stop Hehakatanka. You? The animals all laughed. Ha ha ha. No one can stop Hehakatanka, least of all you. You're the smallest one among us. And so I will show you what I can do. And so the hummingbird starts to walk out. His little hummingbird wings starts to walk out. He looks at Hehakatanka and he says, you must stop hurting the people. I am here to stop you. And Hehakatanka looks down. Who are you? Says, I am the hummingbird. I am here to stop you. You have been being very rude to the people, and we need to have our celebration. Hehakatanka says, I could kill you with one breath. And the hummingbird says, no, you cannot. And so the hummingbird starts using his medicine, flapping his wings. He's like, and he goes back and forth, and he's dancing and he's singing while he's dancing. He sounds like one of the Northern Cree singers. He's like, yeah, yeah. He's going back and forth. And then all of a sudden, Big Oak takes a breath. And then all of a sudden, the hummingbird flies right into his mouth, down his throat. He sits there and sings his song and sticks his wings out. So Hehakatanka can't spit him out. He says, wah, yeah, yeah. He's like, the hummingbird says, are you going to stop hurting the people? Hehakatanka won't answer. It says, no. And then all of a sudden, he's like, he can't breathe. Pretty soon, he's just about to fall over. He falls over, just can't get a breath. He says, will you stop hurting the people now? Hehakatanka says, yes. The hummingbird says, do you promise? Hehaka says, I promise. And so, the hummingbird flies out of his mouth. No one had seen any medicine like that before. Hehakatanka gets up and all the animals come into the field and they look at him and they say, are you going to keep your promise? And Hehakatanka says, you never invited me to the gathering. I just didn't know if you liked me. I just wanted to come and be a part of the festivities. And all the animals everywhere, they all said, of course, be part of our festivities. Yes, yes, come, take part in what we have to do. So, today, that's a story of Big Elk and how things can be achieved by little people and, in ways you wouldn't expect.